So, I'm Steve Hay. This is the wonderful world of woodworking for Carpetech, and today I thought we'd cover some hand plane ideas. These are nice. These are plow planes. You used to be able to get the old Stanley 45s. Oh dear. Which is this big set of kit here. And then there's Stanley 55s. I've never worked out how to use a 55. But just purpose-built plow planes are really, really good if you're, again, you want to get into box making. You might decide you want to put a panel in a box. Well, what you do then is you can set up this to, you put the cutter in, that's the width of the slot you want to cut. Okay, now when you're using a plow plane, two schools of thought. If you're not used to it, I would start off at the end like this and gradually work your way back. That way you're easing into the cut as you go. Whereas there's another school of thought that says if you're going to do a slot, start right up the other end and just go all the way through. So horses for courses on that one. And again, this is if you don't want to, if you just want to do handwork. You don't want to use a saw, you don't want to use a router. And sometimes it's so nice just to be able to use a hand tool to do a job. Going a little bit off there. Or you could use it for, have you seen styles on bookcases where they've just got beading going up? What's the other tool you could use for that if you wanted? Would be a router plane, which is, that's the Veritas, that's the Stanley, and much the same thing. They're good for putting in hinges. This one I haven't got a fence with, but it does come with a fence, and you set your fence up, and again you just, there you go. And then as you go deeper, you just drop your blade down a little bit each time. But again, you can make a little rebate there using that. With that, you have to adjust it all the time. They're pretty handy. I like using them, particularly for setting in hinges, in boxes and what have you, or doors. The other thing, if you want to do a rebate, they now have rebate planes. Now, this is a carriage plane, or a rebate plane. It's about 1950s, I think this one is. And as you can tell, the blade goes to full width. That's an 010, and that's a carriage plane, but it's also a rebate plane. But these ones are a rebate plane. It doesn't go all the way through, so you've got to have a right and a left, and it also has a skew blade in it. So really you could use this as a block plane as well if you wanted to. But much the same setup. I like using these. We can just set this into there, move the fence up. And the reason you've got a right and a left is obviously if I'm going down this way on this side, and if I wanted to go down the other side, I can go this way. So I'm still going with the grain. If you look at this one, the grain's running this way, but when I turn the board around, the grain's running the other way. So that's why I need a pair of them. Let me just see if we can. The other thing, cordless routers, or as they're called, router planes, not so much plough planes, but definitely rebate planes, is when you have a tenon and you want to clean the tenon up. You can get shoulder planes. They're a very fine mouthed plane, and that goes right up into the corner and cuts across and cleans your tenon up. Well, there's wooden versions, again very finely set. In you go, and you can clean your tenons up with that. Whereas the rebate plane have little cam set nickers on the side, and what that does, it actually scores the timber across the grain when you're using it. These being a concentric cam, you just loosen that off and the blade, the little cutter, will come down, and when you're going with the grain, you don't need it. When you go across the grain, you drop it down, and then when you are cleaning a tenon, a nice clean shoulder which will give you a nice clean joint. And you can see, you might be able to see just the cut line down there that little nicker does. So there we go, that's another couple of options down the track. Again, if you're box making, it might be worthwhile looking at a plough plane or a rebate plane for doing slots if you're going to do raised panels, or depending how you're going to put your boxes together.